Welcome. Our first speaker presentation today is brought to you by Strandline Resources, Coburn Mineral Sands Project. Strandline Resources Coburn Mineral Sands Project is one of the largest mineral sands projects in the world, with exceptional zircon-titanium product suite, low costs, and ability to generate strong financial returns. The deposit is located 240 kilometres north of Geraldton in WA, close to infrastructure and the dominant mineral sands market of Asia. The project has key project approvals already in place, including mining and environmental approvals and native title heritage agreements. Our speaker this morning is Mike Ferraro, Strandline Resources Technical and Marketing Director. Mike is a resource industry professional with 30 years' experience. He's a qualified metallurgist, and his experience includes significant roles in mineral sands, as well as earlier technical and operational management roles. Specific to mineral sands, he's managed completion of bank feasibility studies, operational readiness from greenfield for several operations and the subsequent management thereof, as well as oversight on several expansions, including design approvals, project management and market development. Please welcome Mike Ferraro of Strandline Resources.
Thank you, Nicola, and thank you everyone for joining me this morning in listening to the Strandline story, and more specifically the Coburn story. So I hope you'll get a lot out of it, and I hope you'll be able to see the opportunities that may present themselves for your business. And I'll certainly be happy to discuss these offline if the opportunity so desires. I'm going to now just share my presentation, and I'll tell you a little bit about Strandline Resources, and as I said, very specifically around Coburn, which is the project that we're currently working on. The first slide there is just our standard disclaimer. We're a public company, and there's the usual caveats that if people want to take some of the information and invest, I guess there's the usual caveats. You can read through that. But importantly, there's my contact details in the bottom left-hand corner if you so want to make contact with me once the conference is completed. Okay, a little bit about Strandline. Strandline is an ASX listed company. We go by the STA symbol. So if you type in STA into the ASX, you'll see all about us and all our presentations and so on and so forth. We're in the heavy mineral sands business, and we own 100% of all of our assets are 100% owned by Strandline. The Coburn project, which is what we're going to talk about today, is located here in Western Australia, just north of Geraldton, as Nicola pointed out. But also, very significantly, we have a number of projects in Tanzania, in Africa, and one of them, the Fungoni project, is also ready to start construction. So we do have, as I say, significant mineral sands assets in two major mineral sands jurisdictions. In fact, Australia and Africa are the two largest jurisdictions in the world for the production of mineral sands. So we're pretty pleased to have that. Also on this map, you'll notice there's where our offtakes are for the Coburn project. So the Coburn project, as we'll go through, is commenced construction, but we have 100% of our product already in committed offtake agreements with for the first 5 to 7 years with tier one companies throughout the world. China, Europe and the US is where our product is going, and as I say, they're with tier one consumers of mineral sands product. I'll tell you a little bit about mineral sands products as we go through. A bit more specifically on the Coburn project, which is probably what we're all here for. The Coburn project has commenced construction. We're into about our sixth week of construction. As I say, it is 100% owned by Strandline. We are in West Australia. West Australia is considered a tier one jurisdiction with respect to mining, as in tier one throughout the world. And that's not surprising to anyone who's based in Australia. A long history of mining in Western Australia, very mature regulation, and a very, very mature workforce that has a lot of skill in the area of mining. And specifically in mineral sands, West Australia is a very strong mineral sands producer, has been for a number of decades throughout West Australia, with projects scattered from the south all the way through to the Kimberleys in mineral sands. So we're very rich in mineral sands. And as I say, we are considered one of the leading jurisdictions in the world, if not the leading jurisdiction in the world, in terms of mining. And therefore, when external parties are looking at partnering with companies in West Australia, they see West Australia, and it's a big tick for doing business with those companies. And we're really quite blessed to be able to be one of those companies. The Coburn project is a long life project. It's currently planned to be 22.5 years. Going out to 2046, but there is a very significant potential to extend to 40 years. So it's a long life project, great opportunity for all partners to have a long business association with the project. We plan during construction that we expect to generate about 300 direct jobs, and in operations for those 22.5 to 40 years, we expect to generate 150 direct jobs. And of course, you've got the usual multipliers that go with that. The processing of mineral sands is, as I say, quite mature. Yes, there is some modern technology that we're adopting, but it is a mature technology, processing and rehabilitation process that is quite typical of mineral sands companies, and we're following the typical methodology, typical processing, and as I say, using the latest technology in adopting that through to our operation. We obviously want to be sustainable. We need to be sustainable to be able to be successful, and we will adopt ethical business practices as you would expect in a tier 1 jurisdiction like West Australia. And importantly, for our business partners, we are seeking business partners that are like-minded. So that's a key consideration when you look at doing business with Strandline and with specifically the Coburn project. Before I come off this slide, it's worth noting where are we situated. We're just situated 240 kilometres north of Geraldton, just off the Northwest Coastal Highway. And so that's a pretty major highway going up to our turnoff, and then we've got a 43-kilometre sealed dual-lane road that comes west off the Northwest Coastal Highway that will come to our main hub, our main operation, where the Coburn project is located. A little bit about the process, and the reason why I would like to show you this slide is that you may be able to join the dots in your business and with some of the services and products that you may supply, and say, well, maybe my business can assist the Coburn project in a particular area once I sort of describe how we're going about our business. So we're a mining company. We obviously are going to be mining some ore. The ore is free-flowing sand. It's a very large mining operation. We move in excess of 30 million tonnes per year of material to produce about 220,000 tonne of product. The product will be going through the Geraldton port. The mining comprises of very large dozers pushing sand, not too different to what you see on the screen there on the left-hand side, pushing sand into a hopper. The sand will travel up a feed belt into a screen. We screen out a little bit of oversize. The undersize from the screen goes into another hopper where it gets slurried and then will get pumped to the concentrator, which is shown in the next block here to the right. So the second block will be the concentrator. There is a lot of pumping and a lot of piping in this operation, with about 83 kilometres of piping and pumping in the project. The concentrator is located about 2 kilometres from the mine face, and we pump the slurry that 2 kilometres to the concentrator. The concentrator comprises of this gravity separation, a little bit of screen, but mainly gravity separation using spiral separators. And here we take the ore, which contains a heavy mineral, and we separate the heavy mineral from the light material, which we're not interested in. The sand is light. The heavy mineral, which comprises of the zircon, ilmenite, rutile, and the coxine, which is what we're after there, the heavy minerals we're after, and a little bit of monazite, which is a rare earth containing mineral. It looks, the suite looks a bit like what's shown in the third screen there, the third block. We take that material, we concentrate it up to a heavy mineral. The heavy mineral will be about 95% heavy mineral and about 5% lights at this stage of the process. We then truck that heavy mineral about 10 kilometres to the south, where our mineral separating plant is. So this is all located on our mining lease. The mineral separating plant takes that heavy mineral concentrate and separates it further into a separate mineral. So you can see here in the different coloured minerals, and basically separates it into ilmenite, which is this one, rutile, which is this one, and zircon, which is these ones here. So we separate it out, and then from there we then truck it to Geraldton. The separation process just comprises of, it's quite specialised equipment, comprising of electrostatic separators and magnetic separators. Predominantly there's bucket elevators. There's a little bit of wet separation, similar to what we've got up here in the wet concentrator. But essentially it's a dry process. Going into bins, there's a feed hopper, front-end loader operation into a feed hopper, up into a dryer, and then through the separating equipment. And the final products that end up at Geraldton look like this. So ilmenite, leucoxene, zircon. The material, the final products, as I say, come out of our bins. They'll be trucked to a storage facility in Geraldton. The logistics and storage is an opportunity that is available, that hasn't been closed out at this stage, and they also remain in the storage facility somewhere close to the Geraldton port. And then when the ships come in, we'll be shipping that product in 7,000 to 10,000 tonne lots typically, and it'll be staged out of the storage facility. With the mine site, it is a remote mine site, although it's not that far from Geraldton, but nonetheless it is too far to commute every day. So we plan to get most of our personnel from the local region. Obviously, if people can drive in and out, they're quite welcome to. But looking at that fatigue management, the reality is that we do need to have a accommodation village, and we've planned to construct an accommodation village, which is shown there. So with accommodation villages, of course, you've got the usual support services that will be required, catering, cleaning, and the like. There'll obviously be some offices, some admin facilities. Power is supplied through Contract Power Australia. So it's already contracted. It's in a build, own, operate, maintain arrangement with Contract Power. It has also a solar farm associated with the LNG gas turbines. And we expect to get about 30% of our power from the solar farm. Water will come from deep bores that are located on the mine site. We have six bores as planned to be drilled, and we are going to commence drilling of those bores very shortly. And those bores will then that will supply the water for the processing, and also supply the water for the potable water requirement through a reverse osmosis plant, a desalination plant. And with these operations, of course, there's always going to be some waste, so just a regular domestic waste, food, glass, plastic, etc. That will go into our own landfill facility. But there'll be other waste that will need to be managed through specialist facilities, and again, opportunities would exist in those areas. As we've started construction, you'd appreciate that a lot of some of the major contracts have already been let. We plan to be in production the fourth quarter of next year. So major construction contracts have been let, but no doubt there'll be opportunities for subcontracting through some of these major contract partners. And I've listed on the screen and on the presentation some of our partners. So if you want to reach out to them in terms of maybe being able to provide some services, I'm sure they'll be very happy to do that. And indeed, I'm more than happy to provide the introductions that may be required to give you the opportunity to maybe tender on some of this subcontract work. But the main partners are Primero. They're doing the process facility, so they're doing the engineering, procurement, construction and commissioning of the main processing facility, so the wet concentrator plant and the mineral separating plant, design of the piping, the pumping, etc. They're doing that. And they're doing that in partnership with Mineral Technologies, which are part of the Downer Group, who are providing the process technology for the processing plant and supplying some of the major separating equipment. So Mineral Technologies are the world's leading supplier of mineral separating technology and equipment. So, and they're an Australian company. So really pleased that we've got Primero Mineral Technologies on our construct and design team. The bulk earthworks has commenced. I'll show you some pictures of that in a little while. And McMahon, through their subsidiary TMM, are doing the bulk earthworks that have indeed commenced. Peace and Tini and Son have expertise in building the mining units, and they are building those mining units which are the front end feed that the ore gets pushed into that we described earlier. Comprised of feed belt, screen and slurry pump and slurry system that would feed the concentrator. We are going through the Geraldton port and therefore having a port access agreement with the Midwest Port, but there may be some shipping services that will be required as we reach and go into the operational phase. As I said earlier, the contract power are supplying us with the power, with the power plant, and Woodside EDL are supplying the liquefied natural gas that will supply the gas turbines. The village, the accommodation village, has been contracted out to OTOC, so that they are the main contracts that have now completed, and there'll be other contracts that will be coming through as we work our way through the construction and then into the operational phase. On the right-hand side of the screen, it's quite important that the majority of our funding, particularly the borrowed funding, we've got a loan from the Northern Australian Infrastructure Facility. So this is a federal government initiative to support industries that are producing critical minerals in the northern part of Australia, and they're promoting industry into these more remote areas, looking at really developing the local region and obviously linking into Indigenous engagement as well. So they're quite a key focus for us: local engagement with local businesses and Indigenous engagement. And NAIF, we're really proud to have NAIF on board. Federal government sponsored projects. Really, I guess, very secure for our business partners and also very secure for us in that it's a major facility and they see the strength of the project and have partnered with us to provide the major part of the funding, along with some other lenders that we really appreciate coming on board. And of course, there's an equity piece that completes the funding for the project. That's totally all funded, fully funded. Just a bit on the timeline, and this is really just to give you a flavour of where we are in the process today, and we don't need to get bogged down on the detail, but it does give you the whole picture of where we started with the DFS. We did an early works feed phase. At the moment, we're right in H1 2021. We're in the construction phase. We're in the construction ramp-up phase. We will be moving into completing the bulk earthworks, completing the accommodation village, starting the concrete works for the process plant, completing our major procurement orders for equipment, etc., and completing the mine services contract, which hasn't been completed yet. It's one of the outstanding contracts that we wish to complete in the next half of this year. We will move into the early part of next year, completing all these works. So one that stands out is the completion of the high voltage overhead power line. We need to install that. That's valuable. And the other one is product haulage and logistics. That's a major contract that hasn't been completed and is open, that will manage, or will be for transporting of the product from the site to Geraldton, to the storage facilities in Geraldton, provision of those storage facilities, and then taking the material from the storage facility to the port on the day that the ships are scheduled to arrive. And then in the second half, we then will be ready to start commissioning. We expect to get our operations ready to go and start production with the first shipment of product out in the back half of next year, or the last quarter of next year. Just to give you a bit of a flavour that things are actually happening, and maybe to break the monotony of listening to me talking, just a few photos there of where we are, where we were at week 4, just pushing through the access road from the Northwest Coastal Highway. This is looking west, so Northwest Coastal Highway would be somewhere past the bottom of the page, and we've pushed through just under the top, just the clearing and grubbing, and we push through the road through to the west, where it joins up with the facilities where they'll be constructed. This top photo just shows us looking east, looking back towards the Northwest Coastal Highway, and just some pads that have been cleared, and our temporary construction village is starting to take shape, or was at the time of these photos. It's now truly taking shape. You can just see there some of the facilities being put in place. We have already completed some early procurement items that are on critical path. The spirals, which are the gravity separators, one of the key items that are critical to the project. This does a lot of the heavy work in the wet concentrator plant, separating the heavy mineral from the light mineral. So you can see there's some of the spirals at a point in manufacture, not completed manufacture, but certainly at a point significantly advanced in manufacture. And just a few other photos there of some of the fabrication that started to take place with some of the hoppers, etc. So again, as I said earlier, Strandline wants to deliver value through sustainable growth. This is some of the things that we stand for in our business, and the reason why I've got them here on this slide is that we like to do business with like-minded partners, and if you're a potential partner and you stand for the same things that we stand for, then that's a really key part in us wishing to do business with you. So it's one of our I guess one of the things that we look for in a business partner. And obviously people, health and safety is a really important focus. We're relentless on health, safety and wellbeing of our people, and also our partners' people, and so on. We do embed a high performance culture, so we want to partner with a service provider or a supplier of goods that is always striving for improved performance, try and improve the situation, so we can benefit from maybe improved services or improved products that will support our business, and so on. In terms of the environment, we're going to be striving for industry's best practice. As you can see, we've already committed to 30% renewable, and that will grow as the project, renewable energy, that will grow as the project develops over the many years that it's going to be in business. And, it is all about conservation. It's all about reducing waste and, being responsible with climate risk management, and doing the right thing when it comes to rehabilitation and restoration. So These are the things that we stand for. I touched on earlier the importance of the project to the community, and I mean, NAIF have supported us. This is their one of their goals, and they, like us, want to partner with companies that stand with them in terms of delivering some value to the community, and we're certainly committed to the local community. So if you're a business that is local, that is certainly a big benefit, and certainly a business that we'd be very keen to discuss opportunities with. But recognise that, of course, not all services and goods can be got locally, so it's not to preclude others providing services. But certainly, if you've got a local presence and you do provide the service, then we certainly be very, very pleased to discuss with you the opportunities that may be available. And as I said earlier, Indigenous engagement is an important aspect of what we one of the legacies that we hope to achieve through our project, and really try and enrich the lives of our Indigenous local community and Indigenous generally throughout Western Australia. Okay, so getting to the opportunities, and I've touched on most of these as we've gone through the presentation, but and I've tried to break them down into three pillars. But in terms of people, health and safety, there's the usual recruitment, labour hire, emergency medical services. We will require some emergency response training throughout the life of the operation. Fitness for work testing, that's a given in a mining operation. There'll be a multitude of training service opportunities, and there'll be a multitude of various personal protection equipment supplies that will be required to support our business. In terms of the environment, we'll require some cultural and heritage services. We are on natural. It is a station. We do own the station. It's a pastoral station, but nonetheless, there is a lot of native vegetation. So we are committed to restoring as we mine, restoring it back to where it was before we started. So mineral sands mining is quite unique in that respect. It's not like a gold mine. You dig a big hole, it's very hard to restore because you're taking all this material away. With mineral sands, we only take away a very small part and we put everything back where it came from. So the tails is about 98% of our product, and it's inert, and we put it back in the mine void, and then we rehabilitate it back to the same profile or similar profile with the same natural vegetation species as was there before we started the disturbance. So we will require seed collection, cataloguing of the seeds and storage of those seeds, so we can then use those same seeds in our rehabilitation program. There'll be a nursery required to propagate some of these seeds. There'll be the general rehabilitation services. As I touched on earlier, waste disposal will be a requirement, but we'll be focusing on reuse, recycle, and where we can't, then there'll obviously have to be disposal. So, oily water separator, waste will be one of the things that will require a third party to support us. There'll be the usual environmental monitoring services that will be required, noise monitoring, dust monitoring, water bore monitoring, water monitoring, and a whole range of special support that will be required. In the construction and operations phase, which is where we are now, and yes, we have let out some of the major contracts, but there's still a whole lot of services that are still required to, one, complete our construction, and secondly, throughout the operational phase. Mine earthworks and drainage will require some crushing and screening for the construction phase, and perhaps into the operations phase. Fuel supply hasn't been completed. We do require concrete batching with concrete laying, security, as I touched on earlier, transport and logistics, one for our product, but also, as is also down here, general freight and courier services, particularly when we get into operations. There'll be regular things coming to and from Perth and to and from Geraldton and perhaps Carnarvon will be required. usual craneage and scaffolding, rigging. We don't intend to have our own facilities in that regard, so that'll be third party provided. Cleaning and catering of our village, the mine services contract for doing the mining, so we intend to contract mine. Plant hire, there'll be a whole range of plant that we'll need from time to time that we won't have in our fleet, that will be required. The maintenance of the facilities, the high voltage power line, we'll have low voltage power on site, the usual electrical support, a whole heap of high density polyethylene pipe. As I said earlier, 83 kilometres, that'll need to be supplied, welded. We continually relocate the pipe as our mine moves. So there's those services, the regular engineering and maintenance services, support for our planned maintenance, and any potential upgrades that may take place in the future. Bearing in mind, we do move the concentrator 4 times over the 22 and a half years, and that's a fairly major engineering feat that will have to take place on a regular basis. So that will require engineering and engineering support to do that particular move. Technical services, engineering, surveying, traffic management, various trades will require. We'll be doing ongoing exploration, drilling, like as we move along the mine, we'll be doing drilling to further define the ore body. We have a large commitment to install monitoring boards as we progress down the ore body. That'll be an ongoing requirement over the 22 and a half years. So we'll be needing some drilling support in that space. There's a lot of rubber in the project, conveyors, hopper liners, spool liners, and so on. So we'll need someone that can help us with provision of those services. And then there's the usual engineering consumables, bolts, fasteners, bearings, V-belts, lubricants, etc. That is required to support an operation of this nature. And finally, that's really the end of my presentation. But if you do want to contact us, more than happy to take inquiries once you've had a chance to think about what Coburn may mean for your business. There's an email there and a phone number. By all means, I'll be really pleased to receive any inquiries, and certainly we'll put you in touch with the best person that may be able to help you with what your inquiry is about, and or give you the introduction to maybe one of our partners, one of our contract partners that you feel maybe your business might be able to support. So that said, I think I'll hand back to Nicola.
Thank you, Mike. That was really informative, and the presentation will be available for all attendees in the handout section that's located to the right-hand side of your screen. I do have one quick question that's come through during discussion. Specifically, if you've had any challenges related to initial project delivery or ongoing operation that you want to explore potentially some application solutions for, can you talk to us about your biggest challenge right now?
So we've been fortunate. The project has been through a series of studies, and through the study phase, like any project, you're always looking to try and improve and try to come up with a better solution. And through the study phase, we were fortunate to be able to work through a lot of those problems. For example, it's a large mining operation, moving a lot of material. What is the most cost-effective way to move a lot of material? And through that phase, with early engagement with mining specialists, both consultants and actually contract miners, we were able to develop the mining methodology that we've come up with, which is using the very large dozers to push material into the feed hopper. So right at this stage, we're into construction. So it would be if we have started construction with a challenge that we haven't solved, it would be irresponsible of us, but challenges will always come up. We just got to deal with them. But right this moment, I can't say there's anything that we haven't dealt with at this point, but no doubt that they will come up. So it's hard to answer that until it comes up.
Yeah, of course. Do you think it's worthwhile in that vein, given that there's always opportunity for things not to go exactly to plan, that businesses potentially where you already have some operational capacity ongoing that could potentially be problem solvers for you down the track to still reach out?
Absolutely. So look, it's a mineral sands operation. So those organisations that have got mineral sands, mineral sands expertise, services expertise, whether it be engineering or in other areas of our business, absolutely, we certainly would like to hear from, because there will be requirements ongoing with these type of operations to always try and re-engineer things in a smarter way. So then as technology comes in more and more, some of the newer technologies that are maybe applied in other industries, not necessarily even in mining, could be in totally unrelated industries that can be applied to mining. Always open to that, and my role with the organisation. My role's evolved with the organisation, having initially led the study. And now we'll be providing, as technical director, really interested in particularly some of the technical innovations that may be happening around the world that would find a really great application in mineral sands, like whether technology-based applications, just different ways of doing things, because that's what it's about. It's about continually improving, continually being the number one, if you like, to try and be the most efficient, highest quality producer that you can be, then that's what we need to strive for.
Yeah, excellent. And a life mine cycle of approximately 22 and a half years with 15 years projected post-production. It's a 38-year commitment to the Western Australian landscape. What an amazing project.
Yeah, we're very proud. We're very proud to have commenced this project. And yes, it's one of the things, I guess, and the team talks about it all the time. This is the legacy, legacy for West Australia, because it is a long life mine, and therefore it's going to be here for a long time. And hopefully, we expect to provide benefits to the community for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Very exciting for the local region. And I know the area around Geraldton very well. I actually lived there myself for a period of years, so beautiful country as well.
Couldn't agree more, Nicola. And, we're starting to do more and more of our holidays up in that part of the world. Now that you can't travel, there's some beautiful areas up there, that's for sure.
Oh, we do. We have an incredibly beautiful backyard. Thank you, Mike. Everybody, Mike will be available for the next 30 minutes in the booth section. If you look to the right-hand side of your screen, head into booths. Strandline Resources booth is available. You can enter by clicking on the enter button and then enter the waiting room and enter the meeting room to take a seat at the table. If all of the seats are full, you can remain in the room and listen to the conversation, but also keep in mind any questions that come through post-presentation. We're more than happy to share with our speaker. But Mike, thank you so much. And I hope you enjoy your networking.
Thank you, Nicola, and thank you, everyone, for joining me this morning. It's been a real pleasure. I look forward to talking to some of you in the booth.